Hello everyone, this is Sudha, working as an Associate Professor of Chemistry in Nalanda Narasimha Reddy Engineering College. I'm going to explain about molecular orbital theory. So this molecular orbital theory is one of the bonding method for describing the electronic structures of the molecules using quantum mechanics. It was explained or it was put forward by two scientists, Hund and Mulliken. So this molecular orbital theory, it explained many drawbacks of the valence bond theory. Like valence bond theory is another bonding theory to which explains the structures of the molecules, which explain the bonding and reactivity in the molecules. But it has many drawbacks, which was explained by this molecular orbital theory. Now, if we see some of the drawbacks of the valence bond theory, it failed to explain mainly the paramagnetic nature of the oxygen. That was the most important drawback of the valence bond theory. And apart from that, it also does not provide any clear explanation for resonance bonding or for resonance in the molecule. It just explained whether a single bond or a double or triple bond exists between two atoms in a molecule. But there is no clear explanation for the resonance, whether the bond is localized or delocalized. And the third drawback is it could not explain about the anti-bonding molecular orbital. So with the result, it does not provide a clear explanation to the spectra, electronic spectra of the molecules. And also it could not explain about the bond strength, bond order, and magnetic properties of the molecules. So these are the different drawbacks of the valence bond theory, which were clearly explained by the molecular orbital theory, which was put forward by Hund and Mulliken. So this theory helps us understand the patterns of bonding and the reactivity in the molecules. It describes the energies of the electrons in a molecule and also where these electrons are located. And like this is the main basis of the molecular orbital theory. Though it has many advantages than the valence bond theory, that means though it is very accurate in predicting the properties of the molecules, but this theory is also complicated for some molecules like benzene. That means the molecular orbitals of benzene cannot be clearly drawn using the molecular orbital theory, which can be done with valence bond theory. The molecular orbitals of benzene cannot be easily drawn using molecular orbital theory, which can be done with the valence bond theory. Right? That is, like we can say that is one of the drawback of the molecular orbital theory. And in this molecular orbital theory, the molecular orbitals are delocalized over the entire molecule rather than being localized. That means in valence bond theory, the hybrid orbitals, like valence bond theory is mainly based on hybridization, and the hybrid orbitals that are produced are localized to one specific atom. Whereas in molecular orbital theory, the molecular orbitals that are produced by the combination of the atomic orbitals, they are not localized to one particular atom, but they are delocalized over the entire molecule. That means they move throughout the molecule. And this molecular orbital theory also helps us understand why some substances are electrical conductors, why some are insulators, and the others are semiconductors. So it clearly explained based on the band theory of the solids. And it is not only applicable for, like it not only explained clearly about the simple diatomic molecules, but it also explained the bonding in transition metal complexes, which is called as coordination compounds. So in transition metal complexes also, molecular orbital theory clearly explained the bonding. So this is about the importance of molecular orbital theory, which explains the bonding and reactivity in molecules. Now coming to the postulates of molecular orbital theory, like molecular orbitals are basically the mathematical functions that describe the wave nature of the electron in a given molecule. You have studied about the de Broglie concept in the intermediate, where the electron has a dual nature. That means it exists as a particle as well as a wave, right? So here in molecular orbital theory, wave nature of the electron is considered. And that wave has many properties. Like one of the property of the wave is represented by, it is given by a wave function psi. So molecular orbitals are mathematical functions that describe the wave nature of the electron, which is given by a wave function psi. That means that psi represents the molecular orbital wave function. And psi square represents the probability of the electron, probability of finding the electron density. Psi square represents the charge density or the density of finding the electron, where it is maximum. Right? So in molecular orbital theory, the wave nature of the electron is considered. And that is given by a wave function known as psi. So each wave function is associated with a set of quantum numbers which determine the energy and shape of the orbital. Like we have principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, and magnetic quantum number, and spin. So each wave function is associated with a set of quantum numbers, like which determine the energy, shape, and orientation. The number of molecular orbitals formed is equal to the number of atomic orbitals that combine. So the number of atomic orbitals that combine generates the equal number of molecular orbitals. And each molecular orbital accommodates a maximum of 2 electrons. And these orbitals are filled with the electrons according to Hund's rule, Aufbau principle, and Pauli's exclusion principle. These are the postulates of molecular orbital theory. Now, the shape of the molecular orbitals formed depend upon the shape of the combining atomic orbitals. So there are mainly two types of molecular orbitals that are produced, which are known as bonding molecular orbital and anti-bonding molecular orbital. What is bonding and anti-bonding in clear, I'll explain in the next slide. If the overlap of the atomic orbitals is head-to-head fashion or is symmetrical about the molecular axis, then sigma molecular orbital is formed. That means sigma bond is formed. These are the examples of the sigma molecular orbitals, or where a sigma bond is formed between two atomic orbitals. One is SS overlap, the other is SPX overlap, or SPZ overlap, and the other is PZ-PZ overlap. So P orbital is dumbbell in shape, having 2 lobes, and there are 3 orientations like Px, Py, and Pz. So in Pz orbital, the lobes are oriented along the internuclear axis. So they overlap always in end-to-end fashion, which generates a sigma bond. So SS overlap, SPZ overlap, PZ-PZ overlap produces a sigma molecular orbital, which may be bonding or anti-bonding. Now, pi molecular orbital is formed by the sideways overlap of the, or lateral overlap of the atomic orbitals. See, this is the representation of the lateral overlap of the atomic orbitals, which produces a pi bond in between the two atoms. Like that is a pi molecular orbital, which again, it may be a bonding molecular orbital or anti-bonding molecular orbital. So that is about the postulates of the molecular orbital theory. Right, now next is linear combination of the atomic orbitals, like mainly the formation of molecular orbitals from the atomic orbitals is explained by a method known as linear combination of atomic orbitals. See, the mathematical process of combining wave functions of the atomic orbitals to generate molecular orbitals is called linear combination of atomic orbitals. Now, whenever two atoms combine with each other, the atomic orbital, the electrons present in the atomic orbitals of the two atoms combine. And as I told you, the wave nature of the electron is considered in molecular orbital theory. Now those two, the wave nature means a simple sine wave consisting of a crest and a trough. So whenever two atoms combine with each other, that means whenever two atomic orbitals overlap each other, there are four possibilities that are taking place. That means either the crest of one atomic orbital may overlap with crest of the other, or trough of one atomic orbital overlap with trough of the other atomic orbital, or crest of one atomic orbital may overlap with trough of the other atomic orbital, or trough of one atomic orbital overlap with the crest. Right? So that leads to constructive interference and destructive interference. Constructive interference means where two crests or two troughs of the two atomic orbitals overlap each other. That means in which peaks line up with the peaks. So here peak is nothing but the crest. So two troughs may also overlap. That is also called as constructive interference. Or the combination of two waves of the two atoms may lead to destructive interference also, in which crests line up with the troughs. That means peaks line up with the troughs. So here peak is also called as crest. So according to linear combination of atomic orbitals, which is abbreviated as LCAO, whenever two atoms combine with each other, the wave nature of the electrons present in those two atoms can lead to constructive interference or destructive interference. In constructive interference, crests combine with the crests or troughs combine with the troughs. In case of destructive interference, the crests combine with the troughs of the two atomic orbitals. Now there are some conditions for the combination of the atomic orbitals. Like one condition is the combining atomic orbitals should possess same energy. The atomic orbitals combining to form molecular orbitals should have like almost similar energy. One example is 2p orbital of one atom can combine with 2p orbital of another atom, but not a 1s atomic orbital can combine with the 2p atomic orbital. 1s atomic orbital of one atom cannot combine with the 2p atomic orbital of another atom because the energy difference is more between the two. So 2p orbital of one can combine with 2p. Similarly, 1s orbital of one atom can combine with 1s orbital of the other, or 2s atomic orbital of one atom can combine with the 2s atomic orbital of the other. Similarly, 1s orbital of one atom cannot combine with the 2s atomic orbital. They again possess different energies. So this is one condition. The atomic orbitals that are combining to form molecular orbitals should possess same energy. And the second condition is the atomic orbitals that are overlapping should possess same symmetry around the molecular axis. That means like we have three orientations in the 2p orbital, like 2px, 2py and 2pz. Among these three, pz orbital, the lobes of the pz orbital are oriented along the internuclear axis, whereas in py and px, the lobes of the orbital are oriented above and below the internuclear axis. In case of 2p orbitals, in px and py, the lobes of the orbital are oriented above and below the internuclear axis. Whereas in pz orbital, the lobes are oriented along the internuclear axis. That means px and py has same symmetry, whereas pz has different symmetry. So 2pz orbital of one atom can combine only with 2pz orbital of another. But 2pz orbital of one atom cannot combine either with 2px or 2py orbital of the other. Similarly, two 2px orbitals can combine with each other, two 2py orbitals can combine with each other, or 2px can also combine with 2py orbital because these orbitals possess same symmetry. Okay, so the atomic orbitals that are combining to generate molecular orbitals should possess same symmetry around the molecular axis. That is the second condition for LCO. And the third condition is the overlap between the atomic orbitals should be more. So greater the overlap, greater will be the nuclear density or electron density between the two atoms. So the distance between the two atomic orbitals of the two atoms that are combining must be very, very less. The distance between the two atomic orbitals of the two atoms must be less. Then they combine effectively and produce a molecular orbital having higher electron density. These are the conditions for LCO method. Now let us see how the molecular orbitals are formed by this LCO method. Like as I told you, the atomic orbital is represented as the electron. That means the electron is represented as a wave in the LCO method. The waves of the two atomic orbitals may be in phase or out of phase. In phase means like where both the waves are moving in the same direction and with the same speed. Out of phase means in different directions. One atom will have crust and like I'll show you later what is meant by out of phase mode. Now, if we consider psi A and psi B are the wave functions of the two atomic orbitals of the two atoms A and B, psi A and psi B represent the wave functions of the atomic orbitals of two atoms A and B. Now, two cases will happen. In the first case, when the two waves are in phase, that means in phase means the waves will go up and down together like this, in this way, right? The two waves are going up and down together. When these waves combine with each other, then it produces a wave with a higher amplitude, with a greater amplitude and with more electron density. If the two waves which are in phase combine with each other, then that produces a wave which has a greater amplitude. That means the wave functions of these two atomic orbitals add to each other. And this molecular orbital, now this is the molecular orbital. The wave function of this molecular orbital is given as psi AB equals to psi A plus psi B. Psi A is the wave function of the atomic orbital A and psi B is the wave function of the atomic orbital B. Psi AB is the molecular orbital that is produced by the combination of these two atomic orbitals. So when the waves are in phase, then though the wave functions of those two waves add up to each other and results in a wave function having a greater amplitude. So that means the waves add up to each other. So psi AB equals to psi A plus psi B. Now this wave function, that means the molecular orbital which is produced is called as bonding molecular orbital. And it is found to possess lower energy than the energy of the atomic orbitals from which it is obtained. So it is more stable and it is found to possess more electron density between the nuclei. Okay, this is the first case. When the two waves are in phase, then their wave functions add to each other and produces a wave function with a greater amplitude. It produces a bigger wave with a greater amplitude. Now, one more case is when the two waves are out of phase. That means one wave moves up and down and the other wave moves in the opposite direction. Right? So when one goes down, the other goes up. So this is the representation of the waves that are moving out of phase direction. When these two atoms combine with each other, then they subtract their wave functions subtract each other from each other, resulting in a wave with a lesser amplitude. When the atomic orbitals of these two atoms overlap, when the atomic orbitals of the atoms having out of phase waves overlap, then that produces a wave with a lower amplitude, having lesser electron density, and also having a node in between. Right? That means the waves of these the wave functions of these waves subtract from each other. The representation, the mathematical representation is given as psi AB equals to psi A minus psi B. Psi AB equals to psi A minus psi B. So this psi AB, which is produced here by the subtraction of the wave functions of the two atomic orbitals, is called anti-bonding molecular orbital. This is found to possess higher energy than the energy of the atomic orbitals from which it is generated. That means it is highly unstable. And it is found to possess lower electron density because of the subtraction of the wave functions of the two waves. Now, a node always exists in the antibonding molecular orbital, and node is the region where there is no electron density or zero electron density. So these are the two cases to explain the formation of molecular orbitals based on LCO method. In the first case, the two waves which are in phase overlap each other. Then their wave functions add up and results in a bigger wave having a greater amplitude with more electron density. And that molecular orbital produced is called bonding molecular orbital. When the two waves are out of phase, then their wave functions subtract from each other, resulting in a wave with a lower amplitude with less electron density. That means having a node in between. So that is about the LCO method. Now this is the representation of this formation of different molecular orbitals, like sigma and sigma star molecular orbitals formed by the combination of two s atomic orbitals. So two s atomic orbitals, the wave functions of the two s atomic orbitals may add up or may subtract. If they add up, it produces a bonding molecular orbital represented as sigma s. If they subtract, then it produces an anti-bonding molecular orbital represented as sigma star s. See, this is the region of, or this is the nodal point where there is zero electron density. So this is about s orbitals. Now similarly, two pz atomic orbitals. So in pz, the lobes of the orbitals are oriented along the internuclear axis. So they also overlap end to end. So the wave functions of the two pz atomic orbitals combine and produces two molecular orbitals represented as sigma pz and sigma star pz. This is sigma pz molecular orbital with high electron density in between, and this is sigma star pz molecular orbital. This is in phase combination and this is out of phase combination, right? So now next is sidewise overlap or lateral overlap of the two p orbitals give rise to pi and pi star molecular orbitals. This is bonding and this is anti-bonding molecular orbital. So these are the two pi molecular orbitals, pi atomic orbitals, which overlap and produce two molecular orbitals which are bonding and anti-bonding. That is the representation of the formation of molecular orbitals, mainly S and P atomic orbitals. Now let us see some of the differences between bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Molecular orbitals formed by the addition of the wave functions of the atomic orbitals is called bonding molecular orbital. Whereas the molecular orbital formed by the subtraction of the wave functions of the atomic orbital is called anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now in bonding molecular orbital, probability of finding the electrons is more, whereas in anti-bonding, the probability of finding the electron is less. So there is a node between the two nuclei. Bonding molecular orbital is formed by the combination of plus and plus part or minus with minus part of the electron waves. So as I told you, the electron is considered as a wave, as a simple sine wave, where the crest is represented by a positive sign, trough is represented by a negative sign. So the bonding molecular orbital is formed by the combination of plus and plus part of the electron wave or minus with minus part of the electron wave. Whereas anti-bonding molecular orbital is formed by the overlap of positive part of one wave with negative part of the other wave. The electron density in the molecular orbital is very high, that means in the internuclear region, whereas the electron density in the anti-bonding molecular orbital is very less. Right? So, and the bonding molecular orbitals are represented by sigma, pi and delta. So we have seen only till pi. So the higher molecular orbitals are represented as delta, where d orbitals overlap. And anti-bonding molecular orbitals are represented by sigma star, pi star and delta star. So a star is represented on the molecular orbital in order to differentiate the bonding from anti-bonding. These are some of the differences between bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbital. Thank you.